Donald Sterling went off on a rant when he was on the witness stand. He called out the NBA, called his wife Shelley a pig and a liar. Now, how much will that behavior affect the judge's decision here?
Well, it's interesting. In a technical sense, it shouldn't directly influence the judge because the judge has said Donald Sterling's mental capacity is not at issue in the case, and that's because both parties agreed to that prior to the beginning of the hearing. So at least directly, it shouldn't bear on what Shelley Sterling did or did not do and whether or not Donald Sterling revoked the trust. But there's no question that the judge has to keep in mind how Donald Sterling acted. And certainly, if Donald Sterling wants to convince the judge that the doctors didn't credibly diagnose him as incapable of being a trustee, by acting so really irrationally and angry on the stand, he didn't do himself any favors.
Well, let's switch sides here on Shelley Sterling's side. In your opinion, did her lawyers do enough to convince a judge that the sale with Ballmer should go through?
I think they offered a lot of evidence that Donald Sterling was evaluated and the doctors concluded that he wasn't capable of being a trustee. And that's really the end game for Shelley Sterling's lawyers, saying Donald Sterling wasn't a trustee.
Right there. And finally, can you give us a
little
love right
here?
We got the lipstick. Can you give us a little I Heart People Now? Right there.
Oh, I thought you wanted me to put it on.
No, showing that now. I will say, in fairness to Donald, one of the diagnoses was done at his house, and at a minimum, it seems a little bit informal or maybe even odd. But I don't know if Donald showed enough to really
I count on you
undermine
tell me who the most beautiful people are and all those nice heartfelt stories.
How you doing, people?
And one final thing, this is an extra.
Otherwise,
I want to know, without using names, without using any specifics, what's on the Wendy Williams radar right now in terms of big celeb gossip?
Right.
You don't have to say any names. Just let us wonder. What's the
There's
biggest?
a pop star and her rapper husband that I do not believe will be getting divorced anytime in the year, several years. So it's fun to talk about them, but I don't believe it.
And also, he has argued
Does that pop star
he should be able to
have
some involvement with
I'm just
that would
vaguely saying,
raise the value of the team.
A sometimes angry sister?
Oh, yeah, maybe sometimes.
Yes,
Okay, all right.
That would be the one.
There it is.
$2.5 billion. Now, I don't know if those numbers are necessarily plausible, but that's the argument. Whereas Shelley Sterling has argued, look, if this deal falls through, Steve Ballmer is no longer buying the team. He would have to buy it through an auction process. We don't know how that would work in terms of the bids that were made, whether or not that would decrease or elevate the price. You know, we're sort of dealing with economic theory here, and there's no real concrete evidence showing who's right on this question.
Now, Chris Paul hinted that players could boycott the season if Sterling still owns the team. On his NBC Sports radio show, our Chris Mannix asked Clippers forward Matt Barnes if a boycott was realistic.
You know, we were very close to doing it last year in the middle of the playoffs, you know, and it hadn't really soaked in yet. You know, now the full magnitude of what happened is soaked in, and, you know, people feel very strong about what happened. And, you know, it'd be unfortunate if we got to either of those situations, but I do feel that both of those are a possibility.
So, Michael, what do you think? Does the threat of a boycott play any kind of role in the outcome of this case here?
Well, I know the judge has to be aware of it, right? That even though this is sort of a separate issue, to the extent the judge is looking at the best interest of the trust, which isn't directly at issue in this case, but is clearly in the background, yeah, players threatening to boycott really does matter because it would suggest that the value of the team would go down if, in fact, players boycott, that the team would go into disarray, games could conceivably be canceled, fans would be turned off, sponsors would be turned off, less money would be coming into the Clippers. That's the argument. Now, whether or not players would actually go forward and boycott, you know, again, we're dealing with hypotheticals, so we don't know for sure. But I'm sure the judge is aware of what these players are saying.
Hey there, I hope you enjoyed this clip from our daily live show, SI Now. You can find a link to the complete episode in the description box below. And while you're there, make sure you subscribe to Sports Illustrated's YouTube channel. It's not just SI Now, it's Girls in Bikinis, because we got your back. Remember, you can watch SI Now Monday through Friday live at 1 p.m. Eastern, only on SI.com. We hope to see you there with the Girls in Bikinis.